If you don't want to be left behind, you notice prices are going up, inflation is coming, rent's going up, property values going up. I just ordered a product April 30th, a Chili Pad Sleep mattress, cooling pad for $500. Today in July, it's priced at $675. We're seeing number go up for the price of just about everything. The inflation report came out, and CPI, which is it's low, real inflation is a lot higher. The government tries to fudge their numbers, but the official government inflation is up 5% since last year. So did you get a 5% raise this year? Do you get a 5% raise every year? Because year over year, 5% doubles in not that long. When's the last time you doubled your salary? Because your purchasing power is getting halved. So if you don't want to get left behind, you should really consider owning Bitcoin. In this video, I'm going to do a deeper dive into cryptocurrency and why Bitcoin especially. And I'm excited, and I'm really grateful for you on this channel. Those of you who have asked. This one came from Felix, a comment that happened. And we cover a lot of different things because being a modern man and being a modern individual and trying to succeed in this degenerate and horrible and difficult, but in many ways so much opportunity times is it's very challenging, and it covers a lot of things. Like money is hugely important, especially right now with the shift in the financial system and all the bullshit that's happening and the money essentially that's getting stolen from us through inflation. Health is hugely important. Habits are hugely important to get clarity. Sobriety is hugely important. Your personal boundaries that you have with yourself and with other people are hugely important. So we're covering a lot of topics in this channel. And in this video, we're really going to dive into cryptocurrency and really specifically why it should be Bitcoin and why it's not financial advice, but you should strongly consider. And am I biased? Yes, but it also means I have skin in the game. I have a real opinion. I put in most of my money, 90% of my money is held in Bitcoin. And in this video, I'm going to talk about why that is. So if that sounds interesting to you, make sure to hit the thumbs up button. And let me tell you, I have a lot of conviction in this. I've studied this. I've been giving it multiple hours a day for the past year. So I am in the probably have thought about this or studied this for over 1,000 hours now. So if you're sort of new and starting off and want a shortcut, let me help you out. So I know some of the questions are like, well, I'm just trying to make money, right? So these altcoins that are cheap, it seems too late for Bitcoin. Why do I want to buy something that's $30,000 or more when I could buy something that's a penny and it just needs to go up a little bit and I'll make a lot of money? And okay, we got to just back up a lot, like zoom way out and start from the question of what is money? What is money? What makes a good money? High-level questions. We're reasoning from first principles. There's other places you can get more details on this, but I'll give you the basics to help you understand. Money is a tool to facilitate trade. It solves for the problem of, I'm trying to sell you my sheep, but you're trying to get shoes. So we need an IOU. We need a way to exchange, store value. We need a good that can be used to solve the problem of trade, coincidence of want. So you don't necessarily want what I want. You might want what I want. I might not want what you want at the right time. Like you might be a shoemaker and I'm a housemaker. I want one pair of shoes, but I don't want 5,000 pairs of shoes for my house, right? So we invent money. What makes money good? What makes money good? There's three main properties that make money good: scarcity, divisibility, and transferability. So scarcity is that it's rare, because something that's unlimited or inflates to forever in the long term is not very valuable, and being valuable is probably the most important thing for money. We're going to come back to that. You have divisibility. Divisibility is the ability to cut something into smaller pieces and so that you can use that to trade. And for instance, you might have the Mona Lisa, which is very scarce. There's only one of them, but it's not divisible. You can't cut it in half. You can't use it for money. And then there's portability. Portability is, for instance, it's important to be able to physically trade something. For instance, you have Mount Rushmore, which is the statue, this mountain that has sculptures of 4 presidents on them. You can't send that to someone. It's stuck right there. It's not portable. Cannot be used for money. So one of the classic monies that we've had is gold. Gold is scarce, relatively scarce, and it's scarce, scientifically scarce. It's a rare. We haven't been able to make it. There's not more. It's the reason why gold has been so good. It's somewhat divisible. It's not very great at divisibility. You can melt it down into 1 ounce coins or smaller for trade. Okay. It's also somewhat portable. It's not that portable, but somewhat portable. You can carry it and give it to somebody else. Then dollars or fiat currency has come in, and at first it's pegged to gold. It's backed by gold, which gives it scarcity, and it is shout out to these avocado trees. It's highly divisible. Fiat currency is highly divisible. You have $1, $1,000, all the way down to a penny. And it is, these are the 3 basic things that make money good, but there's a little bit more. But those are the 3 basic, that's all you really need to know. Scarcity, divisibility, and portability. Fiat money is really easy. You can send it through the internet. And that's a wonderful, wonderful thing. It's really easy to send compared to gold. So governments hoarded everybody's gold, especially the US, hoarded everybody's gold. It's going to be backed, the dollar's going to be backed by gold. And we're going to have this scarce, portable, transferable money. And it was good until it's no longer backed by gold, so it's no longer scarce. The dollar is no longer scarce, so it's no longer good money. And that's why you save it. I like to tell the story. My mom, what's the tuition of Cal Berkeley today? I think it's like $20,000 in-state, $40,000 out-of-state. She paid $80 in her lifetime to go to UC Berkeley. $80. You try to save your money in dollars, you lose all your value over the lifetime, right? Like, it's cut in half in my lifetime or more. It's no longer good money. I mean, it's good for currency. I mean, in terms of divisibility and transferability, but it's not good scarcity, and scarcity is the key. So this is where now let's talk about Bitcoin as a money. Bitcoin seems scarce. It seems convincing that there's only 21 million, and it doesn't matter the number, but what's convincing is that the monetary policy won't change. And if you study the game theory and the history of it, we can be fairly confident that the monetary policy is not going to change, at least for the next 100 years. This is where something like Ethereum fails, because it's not just about part of scarcity, is about having a predictable monetary policy. So Ethereum's a good investment, most likely, but it doesn't have what Bitcoin has. Is it's convincing. We know transparency. We know the monetary policy. It won't be inflated. It can't. We don't believe it can be changed. Very important with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is very divisible. You can divide 1 Bitcoin down to like 10 million Satoshis. Is it a 10 million or a million? It's 8 to 10 decimal points. Highly divisible. It's also highly transferable. You can send it to anyone at any time. So this is why Bitcoin has been growing for the past shout out to these sheep, past 11 years, 12 years. Now we look at altcoins, other options. If they proliferate infinitely, and most of them aren't convincingly scarce, we're not convinced that the monetary policy can't change, because we have people who are in control, or we have foundations, or we have backdoors. Developers can change things. We're not convinced that it can't. And that's the main thing. It's like some of these other ones are faster. Some of these other ones have certain features, but Bitcoin is the one that we can be fairly certain, fairly convinced is finite. There's not going to be more than 21 million. It's limited units. It's something that finally we can plan around, and it's scarce. Now we talk about the network effect. forget the price for a minute. You look at the number of users, tens of millions of users, hundreds of millions of users now. It's not going to be that long till there's billions of users. So if you think that you're in late and the number is too high to invest in, no, you can buy fractional Bitcoin. And guess what? Only about 2% of the population uses Bitcoin so far. So we have another 50x to go from here to get to 100%. And in terms of usage, the asset can go up more than 50x in that time. But what's really interesting, and there's a lot that's really interesting, is there's not always, but there tends to be winner-take-all elements to money. So gold, there was silver too, but you have gold and silver, and then there's nothing, right? There's like copper's not used as money, tin's not used as money, steel's not used as money. It's basically just gold and to a lesser extent silver. Silver's a much smaller market. And then you look at, in the past 10, 20 years, the dollar has risen to be 90% of most central banks holding. Like the dollar is a winner take all. Yes, there's other currencies, but the winner absolutely totally dominates. So when you have a network effect is like things that having interoperability between different people. Where, telephone, you have one person with a telephone, it's not very valuable. 2 people with a telephone is pretty valuable. 3 people with a telephone. But what if you have different kinds of telephones that can't talk to each other? So that's what happens when you have a bunch of different altcoins. People tend to adopt to one network. People use TCP/IP for the internet and for email. They don't use some other thing. It's a winner-take-all environment. So whatever's in lead is likely to win. And it's in lead not just because it was early, but because if you think about things just from a technical perspective, you might be like, well, Bitcoin's slow. It doesn't make sense. But if you think about things from a political and monetary theory perspective, Bitcoin makes perfect sense because it's decentralized at the monetary policy level, which is the most important thing. Other things can be built on layer 2, and here's what's really exciting that a lot of you don't know about. You might have tried to use Bitcoin. It's slow. It takes up to 10 minutes to send a transaction. It takes $5, $10, $20 to do a transaction. It can only handle 7 transactions a second. How can that possibly be the world's money? How can that possibly take off? Well, there's layers to money, and this is normal. You have the dollar as a layer on top of gold, and Visa and MasterCard are a layer on top of the dollar. So when your Visa goes through instantly, it doesn't really go through instantly. It's just a credit happens that gets settled at a later time, sometimes days or even weeks later. It can take credit cards up to 90 days to totally confirm. So when you're comparing a Bitcoin, which is, I guess, total settlement in 10 minutes, cannot possibly be reversed. You ever had your credit card reversed or your debit card reversed? Someone scammed you, got charged back, right? So Bitcoin's operating at the gold level, and we can build up layers that can do what Visa and MasterCard do, and that's exactly what's happening with the Lightning Network. The Lightning Network is really exciting. It's a layer that's built on top of Bitcoin. If you're wondering how El Salvador, how an entire country is coming on the Bitcoin network, it's coming on the Bitcoin network using the Lightning Network. And if you use the Lightning Network, I had my first experience using the Lightning Network last week. I received money, I sent money. There's 3 things that are really interesting about it. First is, it's infinitely fast. You just scan a QR code, or you copy paste the code, and the money's sent instantly. So it doesn't take 10 minutes. What also is interesting about it is that with the Lightning Network, to make an account, you can go ahead and make an account. It doesn't ask you for any information. You don't need to give any information. It's not like banks. A lot of the world does not have bank accounts. So anyone can use it. And not only can anyone use it, but you can send money between here and Tonga and El Salvador and the UK easily. If you ever traveled to a foreign country and you're trying to get the right money, it's a pain in the ass and they fuck you with fees. But with this new technology using the Lightning Network on top of Bitcoin, you can send money instantly, and you can do it anywhere. So with anyone. So since anyone can use it, not everyone can have a bank account, but anyone can use it. Anyone can use it. Now, everyone will use it because there's no fees. There's no fees, or the fees are very, very, very low. So I set up our payment processor for our business on the farm. On the back end, we use Authorize.net. Authorize.net takes about 3% or 2%. Visa on the front end, MasterCard take 2-3%. So we're paying about 5%, and we're paying much more on small transactions because Visa and MasterCard, they'll take like a couple percentage plus a fixed cost, whether that's 5, 10, 15%. So if you're trying to pay with a dollar, you're trying to pay with a dollar transaction, and in some of these other countries, people are trying to pay with small transactions, especially. Average salary in certain places, or average earning is like $300 a month, right? You try to pay a dollar, and if Visa is going to take 2% plus 15 cents, and they're taking like 17 cents more out of your dollar, these fixed costs, they're taking a huge amount, right? So with the Lightning Network, and this is, I don't fully understand how the technology works, but you don't necessarily have to. I don't know how a phone works. I don't have to. I don't know how the internet works. I don't have to. I have a pretty good understanding of Bitcoin. Don't necessarily have a great, you don't have to though. I don't have a great understanding of the Lightning Network. I don't necessarily have to, although I'm trying to improve. There's no fees. So it's not just for remittances, because a country like Tonga out here in Polynesia has 41% of their GDP is in remittances. It's mostly a diaspora of people going across the globe and sending money back home. And Western Union takes half the money, which is $100 million. And if they switch to the Lightning Network and they pay no remittance fees, they now are $100 million richer, and people can also save and now can start to invest in Bitcoin, the asset. Really fascinating, right? Why is remittance fees so high? Because of fixed costs. Because when you try to send money with Western Union, you might have a flat fee of like $20, and that flat fee is going to be $20 whether you send $20, $100, $1,000, $100,000. So small transactions are priced out by these intermediaries around the world. But using the Bitcoin network and the Lightning Network built on top of the Bitcoin network, you can cut fees down to zero. So every country, every remittance is going to be in Bitcoin, and eventually everyone's going to use Bitcoin on the Lightning Network to pay. And I'm talking about the asset, I'm talking about the network, not necessarily the asset, because there's technology now where you can use the Lightning Network but not touch Bitcoin, the asset. You can use dollars in your account as a collateral to send Bitcoin instantly. There's no conversion, to pay someone else, and whatever their currency is that's plugged in to their bank, if they have a bank. I mean, they can just use Bitcoin, but if they have a bank, you can pay someone dollars to dollars anywhere in the world, or dollars to whatever currency anywhere in the world, instantly, no fees. That's a huge game changer, right? So if we switched, I would save us 6%, 5%, make us 5%. We're doing over $1 million a year now. What is 5% is $50,000, right? So anyone can use the Lightning Network, and everyone will use the Lightning Network. It might take a while for it to happen, but I'm excited. I'm not too worried about the price going up and down in the meantime. In the long term, we see it happening, and it's going to be rocky. It's not going to be straight up. Governments are going to fight against it. Some governments are going to embrace it, as we're already seeing. Some governments are going to fight against it. But it's a cockroach that can't die. It's something that the people want, something that the people need. It's something that's being adopted incredibly fast. The Lightning Network is so exponential right now in terms of usage, and those are the metrics that I look for. Price is just a signal, right, of the asset. But when you see the amount of new people coming in to use the Lightning Network, it's really exciting. So, and in that world, everyone uses the Lightning Network. No one uses these other networks. They're not really necessary. So, my opinion, I do hold a little bit of Ethereum, but I'm basically, just in case I'm wrong, I'm basically all in on Bitcoin though. And I feel really good about it. I sleep better. I'm not stressed out. Again, it might dip down tomorrow. I'm not too worried about it. When's a good time to buy? Just start dollar cost averaging. Take 5% of your paycheck, every paycheck, put it in Bitcoin. You will be glad you did later on down the road. And again, it might be 2 years, 4 years, 10 years, 15 years. You know, the prediction is it's going to have 1 billion users by 2030. So we got a ways to go. Or later, the US dollar is going to collapse by 2035. Those are just predictions. We got a ways to go. So patience, my friend. Patience. Patience. But if you don't want your money and your wealth just totally inflated away, and not just inflated, but stolen from, right? If they take half your money, they take half your time because you worked for that money. They take half your years because you worked for that money. You used to be able to buy something for 10 cents, a hamburger. But yeah, they did a switcheroo. The dollar is not scarce, so it's not good money. Bitcoin is convincingly scarce and has these massive network effects that are happening around it, and it's got hard to put the genie back in the bottle now. So yeah, I hope you found that video interesting. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, just sort of sharing my own thought process on why I've done this and why I feel really good about it. And you know, depending on when you buy, like, it's been good for me. I got in a little bit early, so it's been pretty good for me. But even if you're buy late and are in the red, like, again, I think we got another 50x to go before full adoption. It's going to take a while. So have patience, my friends. Have patience. Okay, appreciate you, and please comment down below if you want a part 3 or you want to know more about a particular thing. I'm happy to do it. I love doing this. It's fun to talk, and I'm learning a lot. And I want to share it with you. Okay. That's how you prepare for the financial apocalypse. Peace out, much love. Talk to you soon. Appreciate you, and make sure to hit the thumbs up. Boom.